Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Good. Summer is starting this summer.
It's heating up.
Okay, so this session of Sip and Pep, we're talking about purpose. I think
Yeah.
I hear it so much. I just want to find my purpose. I want to find my purpose. And I thought it would be good for us to discuss that. At what point do we find our purpose, and do we ever? And how
Mhm. Yeah. And does it change?
does it change? So do you want to tell me, when did you find your purpose, or if you have?
I think I still haven't, I think it's interesting as a child, you're constantly trying to figure that out. Maybe not a young child, but you're trying to figure
Mhm.
out what you're good at, what you excel at, what you like, your passions, and how do you combine all of those. And I'm not necessarily sure anymore that that's really it. That's not the purpose. What was I intended to do? I'm not sure.
Mm.
It's a tough one.
I am of the mind where I don't think this is probably not what people want to hear, but the moment we start putting something outside on a pedestal, I think that's when we start losing the whole game. So purpose, for example, what is the purpose of anything? The purpose is that you're here. That's the end of the purpose. You are the purpose. That's how I think. That's how I feel. So um anything that you would do, like, it's not what you do, what you say, how you act that brings any value to who you are, right? That's a side effect of who you are. And I think that's how we are programmed to look at the world, as me doing something, being of help, being of value is my purpose. And I think the exact opposite. You existing is your purpose, and whatever you do in as you, that is your purpose. And
I
so
agree.
that's why I think it can change. That's why I think, like, we hear stories like that all the time, like somebody is depressed and is going through something, and they're like, oh, that one random person sat by me on the train and told me that how what a great day they were having, and shared with me, and I heard and I listened and I felt different. And maybe that's the purpose, like you just sitting down and just being you, and that takes away the kind of pressure. I truly think that people are so good at so many things, and we try to fit people into, you write well, so you are a writer. You design well, so
Right.
you're a designer. You
Yeah.
talk well, so you're a speaker. I think eh, everybody has capability. Like, somebody was a speaker at the age of 50, or somebody became a writer at the age of 70, and that was still within them. They just hadn't
Yes. Yeah.
practiced. So I think purpose is a heavy word that we like to give to things outside of us, and giving them more power than they have.
Yeah. It's almost like we've been taught or raised that purpose creates itself within us. But I
Yeah.
think it actually responds to the environment that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
Like I laugh because every time anyone talks about a zombie apocalypse, I'm always like, what the F am I going to do? Am I going to design things? Like, I don't have a talent to help me survive, but it's like, how would I respond? Someone said to me, no, Carly, you would be like the leader,
I think so.
like,
I think you'll organize everybody. You do go find food. You go be protector. Like, I think that's what you would do. Me, I would be the historian, and be like, this is what happened, circa.
but I think it's like your purpose is how you respond to your environment and what
Yeah,
how you respond at your best, right? And
at
to
your
me,
best. That is key. That is key, because so many times we get into the thinking of that rather than the doing of that. I want to highlight that. So I think that at your best doesn't mean being the best person, being the best at job. It means being the best at who you are.
right. Yes.
I think that's
Yep.
key. That was a
And
good
don't you
point.
think You could have many purposes,
Yes, a
you
hundred
know?
percent. I think what I think where we fail the most as human beings is that we tend to highlight some parts of ourselves and then hide the rest of them. And as soon as we realize that we are sort of an ecosystem, like Earth is, like a forest is, has like a terranium, is that what they're called, right?
Mm-hmm.
Terranium. Did I say that right?
Terranium. Yep.
Terranium, thank you. And so we are an ecosystem. So when Sneha gets angry, this is what she does, and this is what her reaction is. When Sneha is happy, this is she dances, or it's like a whole ecosystem. And so that's why I think there cannot be one purpose for it seems too small for
Yeah.
a whole
For
ecosystem.
a
Like
whole life.
for a whole life, for even a slice of life at any given time. A forest, its purpose is not to rain, right? Like it's not to feed the animals or to have the trees be growing. What is the purpose of Earth? It just exists. Its purpose is not human beings, right? To sustain
Mm-hmm.
life. Earth's purpose is not to sustain life. It just exists. And I think that's how I want to challenge people to start looking at themselves. So when you see people getting stuck in a certain I'm a mom and that's all I do. No, no.
Yeah.
You are also a mom that does all those things. But another thing that I like, these titles that we give ourselves. Hi, I'm Sneha. I'm a copywriter. Sure. And
Yep.
what do you do for a living? What do you do for who? Do you have a boyfriend? Do you not have a person? Do you have kids? Do you have pets? And those are accessories. If you were a superhero, you were sold with accessories, those would be accessories. Barbie's Malibu dream house is the part, like, is an extension. It's not her purpose. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why superhero is Barbie. I need to get my head checked.
No, I think I'm actually working through that right now, of letting go of
Tell
the
us.
purpose that I
Mm-hmm.
thought was mine. Like I had in my head what I was going to do all my life. I thought I was
Mm-hmm.
meant to do this. I thought I had to go through this. I was meant to go through all of that. I don't regret anything, but I need to let go of what I thought I needed to be and what I thought my purpose was, because it's so much more than what that was in my mind.
I think this is becoming a bigger conversation than it's like the meaning, right? The
Yeah,
meaning behind that what is the purpose of that, of me going through that, right? And if we just sort of looked at ourselves as never a finished piece of art, like it's just always evolving, right? If you thought of yourself that way, you'd never get married to a purpose. You would never get like, this is who I am and my purpose is. That's why it's never ending. That's why it's ever changing. And
right.
that's why it never finishes. I think a great solid point that you just brought up is when you start to change, okay, I am a writer, but I want to be a copywriter. Or I'm this kind of doctor. I'm a physician and I want to become a cardiologist. I don't know if that's possible, but let me just make you have to study some more. You have to do some more. You have to be some more, right? And so for this person to be evolving out of this person, there's a journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's what we are always going through, right? So I think we're always on this like road to evolution or whatever you call it, in growth. Growth is the best way to put it. And that's why our experiences. So a person who is having a cardiologist experiences, patients who come to show their heart, is not the same one for the physician, right? Like it's, if you really think about a mom having the problems that she has, the things that she is having to solve, is not the same one the single woman would have, which she was at some point.
Yep. Definitely. I think those life stages too change our purpose.
And I think that's why it's also temporary, and we tend to um make permanent assumptions based on
Mm.
temporary things.
Yeah, I would even say momentary versus
That's a better way
temporary.
to, yeah,
You
a
know,
better way
like
to,
it because it's around a moment. Like,
yeah.
what was my purpose at that moment in time? I think, and with that person and in that environment, to me, that feels more comfortable, less committal, but really interacting with the moment that you're going through.
Tell me some of them. Tell me, like, can you think of a certain age or life stage where you were like, I was so sure that that was my purpose, and then I grew into this, and this became my purpose? Can you give us like examples?
Oh, that's tough. I went to college for art. I was the creative artist, but I also loved math. So it's like there are some of us with that
Yeah.
weird combination. Um, and so of course I picked like the more challenging of the two to me was art. And I was like, I want to be good at that. And I want to make an impact on the world. And I want to, become known. And so at that point, when I went to college, like my purpose was going to be advertising design. I had already decided that I was going to go through with that. I was probably going to go to New York to work at a big agency, blah, 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 blah. End of college, people are looking for jobs, people are looking for internships, whatever it can be. I realized I was in college in New York for 4 years that I love Maine and I didn't want to
Yeah.
go and live in a city. I had met enough people from the city, had been around it enough that
I'm
I was
good.
like, I'm all good.
I'm good.
And so it was almost like I had to let go of that big agency, huge deal type of purpose and accept, being a big fish in a small pond in Maine, and so I found a small agency and worked hard together to make ourselves big, which that was a fun challenge too. And so it was just a different purpose, so to speak, but it was
I think for me, just the culture that I grew up in, I just rebelled so hard. Um, so to be completely honest, you know how it sometimes happens. Most of the time, you see your parents and you go, "That's who I want to be." Like we idolize our parents so much, and then the other times, you see your parents and you're like, "No, absolutely not." And so I was the latter. But then if you really think about it, they're still driving your ambition, even if good or bad. Like either you pedestalize them and want to follow them, or you want to just completely go against the grain. Either way, your North Star is still them. And
Yep.
mostly it's parents, sometimes the society, whatever the things outside you are. And I think I'm just now asking myself, okay, what do I want? What do I want? Like as Sneha, who who loves people, who loves to um share. Like I'm very much like that kind of person who I don't want to go to a party with you where we're just trying to, yeah, we can go to a party, but like the best bonding moments for me are when we're sitting across the
Yeah.
table and talking and more like a dinner, like more intimate. And I enjoy those things better because I think I form connections when my entire attention is on one person. And yes, do I thrive in a party? Sure, obviously, but like that to me is important, to understand people, to like know stories. Like stories have
Mm.
always been so important to me. And so I never knew as to how writing could change the world. I wasn't asking those questions like what is my purpose and how would I change the world?
Yeah.
Like that's such a hefty job for even a purpose to have. Like, oh, what do I do as one person that changes the world? I don't think it's one thing that you will do once. I think it's kind of like water on stone. When one drop doesn't make a difference, but you keep pouring water on stone, at some point it will break the stone. And it's the consistency. It's the
Hmm.
compounded effort of so many actions that you took that will change at least somebody's world, if not the whole world in general. I think it's the consistency. So I don't know. I I was stupid. I never asked that question. I was like, what is my purpose? I always ask myself as to what I love doing. And I am right now asking that on a higher level, on the level where free from everything, regardless of life situations, regardless of who I love, who I want to be with, who, future, past, regardless of everything, what do I like? What do I
Hmm.
like doing? What do I want to do? And that's a scary place a little bit at
Yeah.
this moment.
What do I have a positive effect on people with? What do I leave an impact on? It's those questions of like how you leave your mark, you know?
Yeah, and it's always retrospect too. I think
I really
people,
believe, like, yeah, you
you
don't know
never
it
know in
looking forward. Why?
or
How
in the
would
moment.
anyone? Yeah.
Like I don't think you know it in the moment too. Like we have had those situations where like I've told you after a year or two of knowing you, like remember that one thing you said that one time? I
Yeah.
live by that now. Like I took it into the code of Sneha. Like I really like thought about what you said and I really changed my way of thinking because of that. And that happens in way retrospect. Like it's never in the moment. I haven't seen it. Like some people will like light up and yeah, those things. But like my brother would tell me like that, remember that one time you
Yeah.
taught me that one lesson? I'm like, I wasn't teaching you a lesson. I was just sharing. And he's like, no, that became a life lesson for me. Those are the things.
Yep.
That's the
I,
purpose. So going back to what you said, being your best,
yeah,
at your best.
definitely. I think I would love to know of anyone who like is in the moment and says, "Oh, this is my purpose." You know, I think it always is. It takes that journey and going through that journey and figuring it out later of like, ah, got it. That's what I
Yeah.
was, you know.
Yeah. Maybe it's like one of those things when, someday when you're old and, you've done a lot of things, you've made a lot of children or not, or, children in the sense of brain children. Um, you've created things, you really, really lived, and then you take an account, look back. Like this is what the things that I made, these are the people I met, these are the stories I told and I heard. And maybe that's where your purpose will be clear. So it's strange to keep looking outside while we live the life when we are on the journey. You cannot ever have the bird's eye view.
Have you ever had a moment where you might have thought a purpose and like maybe realized it in retrospect?
That it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Like, what was I fighting? Like, how did I not see it? Or,
this is going to be a strange example, but I've always had this thing about mystic arts. So I always really loved like spirituality, like not in the meditation and yes, all of that, but like when people could speak things into existence and when people knew where the moon was and why it was doing what it was doing, like those kinds of things are always. I grew up in an Indian household. Everybody has a family astrologer, and they talk magical things. They talk like the moon will be here and it will do. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I really was enthralled by that. Fast forward. I also, like you, wanted to do something more challenging, went into copywriting, wanted to follow that, and, completely lost touch with that part of myself. And then much later, I remember reading things and wanting to do like moon meditation and things that they talk about. And so the last job I had, I think that's what its purpose was in my life,
there we go.
where
Okay. Yep.
like that's how I saw it because that job, um, in terms of my creative, my talent, my that kind of brain, it didn't do much for me. It did not challenge me. It did not help me grow. Emotionally, yes. Emotionally, 100%. Spiritually, I met a lot of people who were very like-minded, which I didn't expect in a situation like that, in a company like that.
Corporate,
So
yeah.
yeah. And so that's where I met you, that's where I met Kelly, and there were all these magical people around me that I was able to talk to, and I was able to talk to not in the sense that treading on eggshells, like they would understand what I was saying. And so for the longest time, I was like, what the fuck was the purpose of that job? Because I didn't grow, I didn't do anything. What was the point? And looking back now, 6 months or so out, or maybe more, I'm like, oh, that was the purpose for me to spiritually grow, to me, to meeting the people that I did meet, and to like have these conversations. Even like there was this one point where like we were at some retreat or whatever, and we woke up before sunrise, and we wanted to go meditate on the beach before sunrise, and there were bunch of us. It wasn't just one or two. There were like a bunch of us who wanted to do that. I just said it. It's like, oh, tomorrow I think I'm gonna meditate
I was
on the
supposed
beach.
to go, but I slept in.
And in the moment, I didn't realize. And now looking back, I'm like, oh, I actually did find a lot of people at the spiritual level I was.
Yeah.
So
I love that. Like looking at it, flipping the script and saying, like, what purpose did that moment have on my life? I love that.
I think we ought to be doing that more, because we know that our purpose doesn't depend on anything outside. We know that. It only can depend on me.
Yep.
So rather than asking what my purpose is in this scheme of things, start asking what are the fucking scheme of things and how are they helping me? Because you are not ever, like, I'm never living your life, right? I love you. I want to be around you all day. I want to, spend time with you, but I'll never be within. I can only know what you tell me. I can only observe if you are angry or not. And even then I could be wrong. So I can never live your life. Right? So then if we're only living here, why the fuck would somebody else tell me what my purpose is? How could anything else tell me what my purpose is? Don't I decide that? What was the purpose of this person in my life or that event in my life? What did that do to me? What am I taking out of that? That needs to happen.
It's an important conversation to continually have. Like we've been talking about, without struggle, there's no growth. I have a friend that every time she would break up with someone, we'd sit and have the talk. And, I had a boyfriend forever. So who am I to give advice on that? But I would sit there and be like, hey, what did we learn?
What are your first boyfriend?
We would talk about it and talk through that struggle and like, what was the purpose? To learn I never like a man that talks about me behind my back. That, like we would just figure out, like we're slowly like honing in on the perfect man that for you, like we're going to figure this out. We're not going to be sad about it. That breakup, that person in your life had a purpose to teach a lesson of some sort.
The moment you do that, you become the power that operates your life. The most important thing. And B, nothing ever feels so big. You would go through, like, you'd be like, oh, okay, supporting character, not supporting character, bye-bye. Like it becomes so much more easier. You appear, you show up in your own life with power. You show up, and that is something also, like, I think I was born with, because I never, how like people do that all the time where they'd be like, I wonder how they thought about me when I did something, I made a mistake. I fell while I was, going up the stairs. I wonder what they think about me. I'm a klutz or something. And I'm like, how could that be anything related to who you are? What they think is their own thing. But you thinking about them thinking about you? that you need to think about. Like,
Yeah.
why am I giving so much power away to anything that is not me? That is, like, of course, we would think about our families and would think about their well being, but those things are never like daunting, right? They're just a part of who we are. We care about our people, so we
Well,
think about our people.
yeah. We're making them
Yeah.
daunting, right? Like that's what it
It's
is.
yeah, it's the thoughts. But yeah, I think the purpose behind finding a purpose does not exist. I think what was I watching? They were saying something. How do we know that we're living a life? And there was um, Rene Descartes asked the question or something, or he said the purpose is to be. I'm completely butchering that, but the point was this character asked, if there is no point, then what is the point? Why am I doing this? If there is no purpose, if there's no bigger scheme, then why am I doing this? What is the fucking point? And his teacher told him, you're asking the right question. The words are right, but the attitude is wrong. So it's not like, what is the point? The attitude should be, what is the point? Curiosity. It's
Dig deep. Yeah. Yeah.
go with it. Like, if you like
Discovery.
it,
Mm-hmm.
discovering. It's like when you see a painting and you're like, oh, okay, is this a good painting? If it is not resonating, it's not a good painting for you. For
Mm-hmm.
it, maybe for someone, it's not for you. And that's how I think approach to life is better. If you're not happy somewhere, move on. Find something where you will be, rather than trying to make a square peg fit into a whatever hole.
Right. Or if you once were and aren't anymore, that's okay. And it's okay to change, right?
That's a big lesson for me these days, where for some reason I kept doing this comparison thing where um I'd be like, oh, I can work it like this because in the past when I have read something, taken some time and then started to write, it has worked for me. And now I'm seeing that it doesn't. I need to completely be away from things, not take in social media, books, people. Like, I have to be completely far away for me to write something that's
Mm.
really, and it's not taking as much time for me. That's changed. And so that's true. Like, why am I trying to look back at something and trying to make sense of that as if I can repeat that? It's not supposed to be. You are always changing, so why would a pattern repeat itself and would fit for the new person? Really cool.
Mm.
So wait, before we get into our exercise, what do you think your purpose is today? As a person that you are today, what do you think your purpose is?
I'm discovering it. I told you I'm kind of going through that right now of like letting go of what I thought it was. And so my purpose right now is to live, you know.
There could not be a bigger purpose, because I was going to say the same thing. For me, more play, less perform.
Mm.
And again, it's like you said, what did you say? Not temporary, momentary.
Momentary. Mm-hmm.
Momentary. Because I discovered that about myself, how much I used to perform. And perform, like, that's such a thing that people, like, you perform in bed, you perform at work, you perform on the field, you perform, like, you just keep performing. And people, like, don't have any which way about it. I'm like, that's horrible that we keep performing. We're not a show horse. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. Am I the only one who has a problem with that? I don't know, probably. But I just
No,
wrote it
it's
on
doing for
my,
others instead of for yourself, right?
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. I love
Thank you.
that. I love that.
So I wrote it on my thing. I said, I do not perform my play, because play is my thing. Play has
Mm-hmm.
always been my thing. That's what I do for me. And now things feel different. Every morning I wake up, I look at that, I don't perform my play. So I am not daunted by, I have to do this for David, I have to do this for Whiskey, I have to do. No, I'm doing it because if I like
Yeah.
it, that's who I am. And that has made my life easier, and it has definitely like taken a lot of pressure off of these things, where like if I make daunting goals, like my purpose is to show up in the world like this, blah blah blah, I can't do that. It doesn't, I can't, it's
Yep.
too much. So yeah, that was good.
I love that. I think I think too much about what people think about me, and that's the other
Mm-hmm.
thing I'm trying to let go of and getting there. Like I wouldn't be able to do this if I haven't made some progress on that,
Mm-hmm.
just caring what others think, what others are saying. And so I think in my mind, that performance idea is hitting home.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's do our exercise. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, this one is called Sweet Memories.
Mm.
What is it about reminiscences of childhood that stir the heart so deeply and make us long to turn back the clock? Is it that sense of returning to innocence or just the pleasure of feeling young again? Those were the days when every toy, doll, and game was a special kind of treasure. The collector's mania for antiques and memorabilia has its roots in these childhood fascinations and the desire to relive the past, if only for a short while. Our next encounter will take us back to the simpler time, to a little candy shop down the street.
I'm
Perhaps you
loving it.
perhaps you'll find your younger self among the goods in stock. Inside the candy store, you find rows and rows of old familiar candies, chocolate bars, chewing gum, sweets from your youth. Some are stacked in organized shelves, some are loose in baskets and jars. What candy do you pick first, and why did you choose it?
Oh, that was very instinctive. I got it.
Yeah, I was thinking it like before I even asked the question, but it was more nostalgic. I don't know. Okay, number two. While you're wandering the store, making selections, you notice that outside a group of children look as though they're getting ready to enter the store. How many children actually come in? Are you waiting, counting them as they go in the door?
Got it.
Okay, number three. You make your purchases and go home with a bag of candy. But when you open the bag, you see that the shopkeeper has added some free extra candies as a special treat for you. How many did you get? That always happens to you.
Oh, wait, it literally happens to me all the time. Oh, yeah. Got it.
Okay. Last one. You've been thinking about giving the candy you bought as a gift to someone. To whom, if anyone, would you give it to? Remember, there are no right or wrong answers. If you choose to share your answers, you may leave a comment. Oh, that's for the where I found it. So who
Who
would you
would I
give
give
it
my
to?
candy to? Oh. Oh.
No one. My
um.
cupboard.
Yeah. So my nightstands are full of chocolates. I
Oh,
like
really?
on our, yeah, on our, this is a side tangent. The first date David and I had, we were talking and he like got this coffee that had no sugar in it, and I got a full like caramel macchiato because I like sweet things. Um, so he was asking me if I have a sweet tooth, and I'm like, dude, my nightstand, I have chocolates on in both sides of my nightstand. So whichever side I wake up, there's chocolate. And he laughed. He thought I was joking, and then later when he like came over and he saw the nightstand, he was like, "You were not kidding." I'm like, "I don't kid about chocolate." I guess I'll share with him. Uh, he, he's here most of the time.
Okay. You ready?
Mm.
So, number one, um, what candy did you pick first? If you thought something like, I'd take the one with the secret toy surprise in the pack, you're likely the type who responds well to people bearing gifts. If you said you'd choose the candy because you remember how good it tasted or it made you feel nostalgic, you are hungry for the same attention and affection you received from your mother as a child. Men, if you answered this way, you may be looked at as something of a mama's boy. If you made the decision based on external factors, you're the type of person who makes judgments based on appearance alone.
I chose this like gum, like it was a chewing gum kind of a thing, but it had like a very tart on the outside. Um, Sweet on the inside, but whatever. But I think I would go with the second one, the mom one.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
nostalgic.
because yeah.
I went right to like my favorite candy that I always got at the candy store up north
Mhm.
that we would
Yeah.
go to whenever we camped. It was called
Yeah.
Punk Rockers. They were like sweet tarts, but
Yeah.
they
Oh
were
my
like
God,
in
sweet
little,
tarts.
yeah.
What was the first option again? I feel like I had a little bit of that
Um,
too. When it's like a
if you thought
surprise
something
thing.
like, I'd take the one with the secret toy surprise in the back.
Yeah, because those came with like a comic strip in them, and I
Yeah.
used to love those. But that's why I picked them then. So there's
Yeah.
a
I mean, you pick your cereal based on the toy in the cereal box. Do you remember that?
yeah, like obviously. So I have the for me it's first and the second.
Yeah. Okay. The number of children who entered the store while you shopped represents the number of people in your life you need to depend on.
Mm.
Most people imagine between 1 and 5 children entering the store. People who said
5 to 6.
came in
Mm-hmm.
still, more than five came in still have a way to go before they reach an adult level of independence. But those who said no children came in also need to reconsider the way they look at the world.
Yeah,
I
I'd say
was
a
definitely
group.
7.
Yeah, I was like 5 to 6, easy.
Are you hearing that?
No.
No? Okay, good. I'm getting a lot of text. Hold on a second. All
Mm.
right. So, number 3, the number of free treats you got reveals how much you still depend on your mother. Most adults say 1 or 2 pieces. If you answered 10 or 20, you may need to think about spreading your wings a little more and fly away from the rest. Me too.
Yeah, I need my mommy. I'm not ashamed to say it. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm not even willing to change that.
No, I mean,
Anytime.
yeah,
Yeah.
I just spent the night at my mom's house last night and we stayed up until midnight talking.
Yeah. Anytime I'm in a bit like minor inconvenience. I mean, I'm sorry. I have no. It like goes to say like how they just don't do like that. I chose a man who reminds me more of my mom and less of my dad. So
Oh, that's interesting.
that's what I'm.
That I definitely did not. Mine were like 3 extra Swedish fish. What were the candies that they gave you?
Did I have to pick the things? I was just like a assortment,
Yeah,
an
just you.
assortment of different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. To whom did you give the candy? The person you chose is a person you would like to be able to take care of someday or have become dependent on you. Did you say you gave it to your parents? Your wish may be reality sooner than you think. Was it your partner
No.
or a person you secretly like? It may be fun taking care of them for a day or two, but that could wear thin. Or did you
Mm.
just say you wouldn't give the candy to anyone? You prefer a life with few attachments, asking little from the world and expecting the same in return.
Yes, I'm so happy they had that option because like
That
I chose
solitary,
David after.
right? That solitary approach means you may never have to share with anyone, but it also means you may never have anyone to share with.
Do not care. Do not care. Do not give a damn as long as I have the candy.
Mine was you, but you're younger. You're going to have to wipe my ass.
I'll do it. I'll do it today.
You'll change my diapers. No, I'll have
Oh,
Stella for that.
no, I'll help her. It's I don't that's funny because you did pop my mind too. But like it was pressed. It was like, okay, if I have to choose someone. Other
Yeah.
before I was like, I
Yeah,
have to
you
share my candy.
you were the non-share. You were definitely
Yeah.
going there.
Yeah. The thing about me is like I love taking care of people. I don't like taking care of. Like um we have talked about this. Like it feels strange to me when David is just like, could I have orange, babe? And he's like cutting it, making it pretty. I'm like, what are you? Just toss it to me. He's like, no. But yeah, it's strange.
All right, so now comes to the time where we kind of leave our parting thoughts to sum it up
Mm.
type of thing. I think a few hit home for me. One is that purpose is momentary. You know, they're evolving and forever happening. Um, and I love when we started talking about the purpose that moments had on us, you know, and really thinking and reminding ourselves to go through that conversation in our head when we go through something, especially when we go through something bad, you know, like take the power back
Mm-hmm.
and give it a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Then at least you have a positive outcome.
Yeah, I think my only advice and top advice would be to not make purpose something that lives outside. That's it. Other than that, you're good. If you have a purpose of showing somebody that you're worthy or change the world and do something that people like, if you're thinking, I will change the world, ask why. Why? Because people will love me? Then no. Don't do that. Only if that's like, you know what I mean? It has to come from you, it has to come for you. And there's no role that people have to play. There's no role that anybody or parents or kids, nobody has to play a role in that. The only thing I would say is take the burden. Oh, hi, Roxy.
She
She
agrees.
agrees with me. Just take that burden off of outside to have a purpose to make you feel good about you. If I do that, I have a purpose. You're just putting it's kind of like we put on our partners the burden of making us happy. If I'm not happy because he didn't make me happy today, he doesn't deserve that. Your partner doesn't like they're not. It's not their burden, and so anything outside in the world does not have to bear the burden of your purpose. The purpose is within and it will never show itself. So looking for purpose is meaningless, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. You'll discover it versus look for
Yeah.
it, right?
And you'll keep discovering it. It
Yes.
never stops. So take a look back at however much life you've lived and the way you've lived it and then go, all right, so I will never know in the moment anyway. I'll find out in 10 years. Cool, let's go. Live your life and what you said. At your best.
At your best. Yes. So, love that. Awesome. Well, thank you. Mm-hmm.
And thanks for everyone for watching. I mean, we are growing in subscribers and it's so nice. I'm going to do that.
We'll do it. Not doing it.
Oh, oh. I did it twice for both of us.
Okay. All right. Take
Thank
care.
you,
I'll talk to you
Carly.
next time.
Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.